What's up guys, welcome back. Atlanta Reign facing up against the Toronto Defiant on your screens rather soon. If you just missed it, San Francisco Shock have now swept every single team in the Overwatch League after they take a 3-0 up against Paris. Trust me, it's still worth watching the VOD. There were a lot of nice plays, a lot of nice sticks, a lot of nice headshots from Arndt and XE. In fact, you can check out on the replay viewer in client as well, mind you, so you can get first-person POVs of everybody.
Yeah, I use the replay viewer a great deal. It's a nice tool. I think they maybe fixed the bug. There was a little bit of a bug. I kind of screwed up my YouTube schedule, but it's all good. That is neither here nor there. What is here and what is there is Atlanta versus Toronto going to be coming up next. This is a really interesting match to me because we spoke a little bit about this offline. They're both like paper champions. That if you just look at the rosters, you're like, oh, this is going to be a good team. It's going to be a really good team. Atlanta is really hard to put anywhere in the power rankings. They go up some weeks, they go down some weeks. People are like, are they overrated? Are they underrated? You look at the roster and you're like, oh, that's a lot of talent. Toronto, the same thing, but Toronto have been struggling as well. They're making some changes to the roster, but you look at like kind of just the pure talent that they have and you're like, why aren't they winning? So these are both teams that they have the players, they have the talent, they're trying to add pieces, subtract pieces, but the results simply just haven't matched what they really look like on paper, Jaws.
Well, one person that has been kind of popping off, but a little bit less so over the last couple of weeks for the Atlanta squad, has been Baby Bay. It feels like he may be a little bit sore, recovering a little bit after that 1v1 versus Carpe on the Ash. He came out of the gates just absolutely on fire. But over the last couple of weeks, a little bit more tempered in his aggression. Maybe he needs to be a little bit more confident. Maybe he can gain that back today.
And that is one thing that I think you have to be as an Ashe or a Widowmaker. You have to be confident. And I know in real life, Baby Bay is like one of the most confident people I've ever met. But you know, he might be playing against Logix today on the Ashe. Of course, Toronto has the ability to bring in other DPS players. Shore4 can play the Ashe for them as well. But that's kind of a lineup that we might expect to see. But you're right. I think getting boomed kind of a couple weeks ago. I think Bird Ring just shot the confidence right out of Baby Bay's brain pan on Junkertown especially. But the Atlanta starters are going to come up on your screen now. Baby Bay will be starting. He has earned his spot on every roster he's ever been. You got to love it. Erster is going to be back in. Erster with the ace on Eichenwald is always, of course, the highlight that we think of. Gator and Popo will be playing your tank lines, and the eminent supports of Dogman and Masa will round out this Atlanta roster.
Okay, that's definitely feeling like a Tracer Ashe then.
Tracer
if I had to put money on it. Gator Popo, of course, all reliable in the tank line, of course, like you said, Dogman and Masa. Dogman's Baptiste has been pretty good, to be fair, over the last couple of weeks, and I want to see more Baptiste with the Zen, honestly, because not only is that combo unstoppable if it's left alone, like we just saw with Shock.
Yeah. Did you just see it work?
We just saw it work, right? But it's also kind of absurd how much not only damage it can output, but like the assistance it can give to the team, not only Immortality Field, but the Discord Orb as well, which is sometimes over the last few months feels like a little bit forgotten, but Zen did receive a buff recently. Toronto Defiant now on your screens, their starters. Zik and Shore4 in DPS. Numlocked, I cannot wait to cast a little bit of Numlocked Seb Barton. I've cast him for a long time in Contenders, and I'm glad he's made the move upwards. Him and Nevix are in the tank role, and then got Cruz and Kariv support.
Yeah, it's really nice to see Numlocked in the league. Like, it's just such a great story. Of course, first of all, TF2 represent Numlocked doing that for us there. But started in the league with the Los Angeles Valiant, was able to get, like, I think one map towards the end of the season where they put in a couple guys. Like, it just felt wrong to even watch. It was like a pity map, so forget about that. He gets dropped. He goes down to Contenders, gets the grind, path to pros it, and now getting a second shot here on the Toronto team. Like, you just love to see it. It's just such a great story about perseverance. He's been playing professional level video games for a long time. Love to see it. Today he's going to take over the role of Beast on the Orisa. I think Beast more of a Reinhardt player, so maybe that's why they made the move here, Jack.
Yeah, maybe so. Although it does feel like maybe they want to put Numlocked on the Ryan. He's called Numblocked for a reason, right? Because he can block shadows left, right, and center. But him versus Beast, the stats are kind of almost similar there. In fact, it's only really the deaths that actually stand out to me. 5.9 deaths per 10 for Beast, 4.8 for Numlocked. So, I mean, a little bit more passive, but that one death can cost you a whole bunch, and especially being a main tank. A lot of the weight does lie on your shoulders within rotations, and of course just protecting your supports in the back line. Lijiang Tower with the first map of this series for Control. Rather varied one, I must say, so maybe that's why they want to put Numlocked in, because his his
think
Ryan
versatility?
and Orisa are stellar. Versatility, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think Beast maybe like a more aggressive player, and that may account for the higher amount of deaths on the Orisa. I also think Beast like Reinhardt, perhaps a little bit of Winston, whereas I think Numlocked is a Reinhardt Orisa. So maybe kind of an indication that Toronto doesn't want to run a pure dive. Nevix, of course, another very versatile player. I would imagine to see a lot of him on the Sigma. Sigma's still very well kitted in the Overwatch League. While in Overwatch in general, Sigma's got a really, really nice kit. But we'll see what these teams want to run out on here. I mean, you see the records at the top, and you see Atlanta at 5-6, but it doesn't feel like a 5-6 year for them, does it? Like everyone always had thought that Atlanta was really good. A lot of those 5 wins come against lower tier teams. And the Defiant are only 5-8, yet it feels very much like Atlanta's the much better team here. And now it's time to put rubber to the road and see which one actually comes out on top.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Zik as well, of course, in the roster for Toronto Defiant. I did do a short stint of coaching in EU. It was on Third Impact. At one point in HSL, that's where I ended up casting him when he was playing in Contenders. It's exciting to see more Contenders players making it to the big leagues. Zik is going to be on the Trace. We've got Sherford on the Kree. Bebe, Widow, Urster on the Farah. So point presence for the Defiant is pretty big. Nice first kill onto Gator. It's going to be hard for the tanks to really claim a lot of space here. Make that 2, in fact. Pokepo ends up going down as well. A triple kill for Zik to start off the series. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, he looks very good in his debut. I think opened a lot of eyes of people who maybe not heard of Zik, myself somewhat included. I don't get to watch as much Contenders as I would like because there's a lot of Overwatch, a lot of great Overwatch if you do have every hour in the day free. Short 4 on the McCree is a flashback to the old days. That's 2016 Short 4 right there. That's actually the character he got accused of hacking on. But no hacks here today. Short 4 is just that good, and the versatility this Toronto DPS have is really nice. I cursed him. My bad, Short 4.
There you go. I think a nade actually landed on him and Gator finished him off. Regardless, Numlock is getting chunked out as well. Perfect bio grenade from Dogman to make sure Numlock had to play safe. That'll be Urster now just on the point. Free reign. His Sherford died fairly early. It's got to feel good when you're a Farah, right? When your tanks end up diving the Kree and taking them out. It's like, well, can't be touched now, so GG.
Free reign. Haha.
Haha. Haha. Nice. We could open a comedy club, Hex. We should do a duo comedy night.
Yeah, I really, really doubt it.
Of course, come on. Right, the Rain now, what do they have for their defense? They have Barrage and they got on the mines as well. It's going to be hard for Numlock to really get anything done here, it feels like. They're really waiting for this flux, it feels.
Well, you can always open with Cole, just toss it right in, but they do have to be really careful. This Barrage is at a great spot if you can come up over the top of the little bridge. It's like Urster is going to play back now and just let his tanks do the layman's or yeoman's amount of work.
Yeah, Pokepo ended up getting nanoed there to force Numlocked back, who was purple. See why he had to back off to White Room. Beautiful boop off for Gator, though, killing off Nevix. And guess who's alive and free to do what he wants? It's Urster. Nice little boop onto Sherford yet again. And they hold on to a fair few ults in this fight too. They use Pulse Bomb, they use the Nano and the Mercy even ult, and Toronto struggled to get onto the point, but their comp does one thing very well, Hex. Toronto's wants to sit on the point. Atlanta Reign, they can just skirmish as much as they like.
Yeah, Short 4 might have to use this Deadeye, just try to push back the combo in the air. I think it's an unfair ask to ask a McCree to just deal with it for Mercy on their own. You need some help there.
Speaking of sitting on the point, uh-oh. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be there, Dogman. Karib diving to the back line. Damage only Moira. Help Sherford take him out. Another boop onto Nevix. Stepping a little too close to the pool beneath. Master does end up going down to the high noon, but Sherford once again just getting bullied. You can see how much space and how many resources they're putting into Urster. It's like, kill Sherford, then I can win, I promise. Babyface also going to find the pulse bomb onto Numlocked as they do manage to find the flip, but Atlanta Reign have so many people still alive, and with Cruz going down, Urster's free to do what he wants. Again, there's nothing that's stopping this team right now.
No, it's just kind of a domination. Like I said, I think it's unfair to ask a McCree to deal with the Aether and Mercy by themselves. They did a good job of isolating the opposing Ana at the very least in their last engagement, but I mean, you need a Discord, you need someone else to put some pressure on it, you need someone to open up an angle for you. Short 4 is doing his best against the combo, got the Deadeye kill on the Mercy, but right now, I mean, Toronto's going to have to open up with Coalescence and hope to hit a Flux.
Oh my word, Zik. I thought he recalled there and would have just dropped straight in the pool, but he did end up surviving. Nice nano onto Pokepo there to make sure he could survive that damage from the Flux. He's going to be able to take out Sherfall yet again. Zik has Pulse Bomb. It's the really only tool they have left. Maybe Cruz gets speed, but I doubt it at this point. Ursa's earned himself another barrage. He's little to nothing to fear apart from that rock, but he managed to take out Nivix. Anyway, Atlanta Reign will claim the first round. So hard for Toronto to do anything in that fight. Sherfall was just having a miserable time. There was not only the Winston jumping on top of him as well. It's like he also had to deal with Tracer on his backline, and it was just a nightmare to deal with. And like you said, Hex,
it's not fair.
It really needs someone else to interfere with the Fire of Mercy. Someone like a D.Va, who's unfortunately out of the pool right now, or a Discord, or a Damage Roost from a Mercy.
Yeah, you just need a little bit of help. Like, it reminds me of the games I play where I'm on McCree and I'm getting flanked by two things. I'm getting jumped on, and I'm facing a pocket Fair Mercy, and people are like, "Oh, you're terrible, switch out McCree." I'm like, I'm hitting shots, but I can't do it all. Like, I need a little bit of help. Please. Can I get space? Can I get a Discord? Guys, Discord something. I need help, and it's just an enormous ask. Both these teams coming out with a Symmetra right now. Oh, a mirror match.
I love that camera angle. Doomfist for Zik against Ersta's May. Doomfist has a little bit of a hard time dealing with May unless he can find the instant punch. Nice little flame fire strike though from Numlock, does take out Baby May. Zik setting up for another punch into the corner, but those double shields really helping Pokpo out from dying instantly to the Doomfist, but the cleave was there from the main tank. Numlock just swinging on through, managed to take out the front line, and Toronto will find the cap.
Yeah, the classic short for Symmetra comes in, and look at Kariv already. 96% short for almost with an ultimate. Numlocked almost with an ultimate. Safe to say Toronto dominated that early fight. Atlanta's going to have to stick on this May just to try to get some entry in here. But now you have to deal with turrets, which are at the very least a little bit of a nuisance. And this May is just, or this Symmetra is able to just crack shields.
Yeah.
They're running double shield in the sim.
Fire strike, speaking about that. Instant immortality field though from the Defiant. That was perfectly timed. Shadow around the corner. Does get blocked. Ooh, double fire strike through the window. That's 2 kills. And that should be the fight over as well. In a blink of an eye, Pokpo kills 4. A nice team kill. And the flip for the Reign.
Fire Strike Ant Matrix. I mean, you're seeing these Ryan highlights now with Ryan's getting 4Ks and 2Ks, and it's just such a good combination, especially when you have an Orisa with you too to halt everybody in there. It might as well just be an ultimate. I mean, it's a couple of different... yeah, I mean, I guess it is an ultimate with the Baptiste. You don't really think of it as the most impactful, but that's when it has its most impact. A bait teleporter comes out.
Yeah. Did make sure Reign had to look upwards. Meteor Strike on top of the Supercharger. Quite normal to take that out, get out for free as well. Shadow on the side, they does find one. Beat comes through though to make sure they can survive. Now Pokpo backed up into a corner, but he had the immortality field to make sure he was alive and well. Atlanta Reign still hold on to this point. Karib does have the window, but so does Dogman. The Blizzard's going to come out from Erster as well. No one's going to be able to move now. Yep. Pokpo just swinging for the heavens. Boot from Master as well to take out Zik. And Reign continues to hold.
A very nice play there, and now at 50% and counting up. I mean, I like that they committed the Blizzard outside of the points rather than being defensive. I want teams to be somewhat defensive until the offense puts themselves in a position where you can flip that switch. And just, you have to stop looking at like what you're giving up and just decide what wins us the fight right now. They're all in the courtyard. That gets that nice Blizzard in there. Very easy win here too. And these fights have gone on a little bit long. This might be Defiant's last best chance to get in here, and let's see if Numlocked can hit the Shatter.
Oh, that's such a nice beat as well. Look at them just running forwards. Pokpo has the Shatter as well. The charge didn't even matter. He'd swung, the hit registered, and then he went for the charge. Pretty Chad of Pokpo. Putting up big numbers. I think he must have gold damage at this point as well. Like, he's doing so much work with the help of Dogman's windows. 90% now for the Reign. Can Toronto actually get back? Sherfall's on the Tracer, but they're going to get walled off. 2 tanks have made it through, but the Blizzard's going to be able to build up as well. Oh, they might not even need it. A beautiful stick from Baby Bay. That's a headshot as well. On to Crew. Oh, not even a headshot, so it was a body shot, but it didn't matter. He's already dead. That will be OT ticking through. Toronto, they can touch the point, cause OT, but that's about it. As the Reign taking map number 1 in quite an easy fashion.
I looked it up for you. Pokpo did have golden damage. It was pretty easy to see based on how that map went. He was able to just swing away Meryl. There's your daily M. Night Shyamalan reference if anyone gets that one. But Pokpo was just kind of unhinged. They went after it. They were able to boost in quickly enough. We're just getting the better of those engagements. The fire strikes were there for him. And, I mean, it's a tough first round for Numlocked. I think the first one, like Toronto just looks a little bit disjointed. I'm like, what's your strategy? Are we going to support the McCree and allow him to try to take out this Pharah Mercy, or are we going to all push in and ignore the Pharah Mercy? They did both, and that didn't work. And now on this map, it's are we pushing in, or are we retreating? And they did both, and it didn't work. I think Toronto just needs to get like a little bit of cohesion better. Those were kind of sloppy fights both ways, but Atlanta just came out with a mechanical skill on the ending and just a little bit better Reinhardt play from Pokpo. That's the story of the first map, I think.
Yeah, a little bit better. I mean, having the Mei also helps, right? Like,
yeah,
Mei on that map is
nice.
just disgusting. Plus, the window in a defensive fashion is and can be a little bit better because you can place it almost right at the back where you need it. Of course, they were placing it at the doorway, so it forced Toronto Defiant to walk in. You make a decision there. Do we walk in past the window to make sure we can't get damaged by it, but then we have to deal with the Mei, or do we sit back and actually try and take the damage and use the Immortality Field? Tough decision to make. Atlanta Reign do lead the series 1-0. We're going to jump to a quick break. We got Rialto coming up soon.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy, Big Crunch, Big Flavor. And by Zip Chair Game, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
So guys, welcome back. This is the Atlanta Reign facing up against the Toronto Defiant. 2-0 so far, not in the series. That's on control. We're heading into second map.
Yeah, you got it.
Confused. Yeah. I got it, kind of. Anyway, Rialto is going to be the next map. A couple of substitutions here and there as well for both teams. So I'm excited to see where they kind of...
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles.
Got kind of rolled over. Pokpo, absolute beast, like Chad level. Like you mentioned it before the break, Hex. Gold damage on the Reinhardt. It was pretty easy for him on that map.
Yeah, I just able to get in there with the hammer. I do want to take a moment to say I love that using Chad as an adjective. Pretty Chad of him, I think you said during the map.
Pretty Chad.
That cracked me up a little bit. Language is constantly evolving, as they say, and even as an English major, I have to admit it and roll with the times. But yeah, that was pretty Chad of him. And the rest of his team enables it, though, too. We talked about it a little bit in our previous match, too. When you're running a Reinhardt, you would really want to run a Lucio with it and a Mei. And the thing is, you just wall them off, and it's hammer and anvil. Hammer technically, the anvil being the Mei wall, and if the other team doesn't have a response to it, you're just going to win that fight. You're going to win that fight really early on, it's super easy, and then they don't have all the tools that they need. this Toronto team has made a lot of changes throughout the year, and it seems like adding pieces, subtracting pieces, and even very early in the season when we saw them, I think week 1 in New York, they were making a lot of substitutions in and out, and part of me wondered about like the cohesion of it when you're constantly making swaps. You saw San Francisco that has a lot of talent previously. They ran like the same 6 for the most part a lot of the time in Season 2 and just in our last game. So I wonder if it's not the best move for Toronto and for their players' confidence to just pick a 6 and run with it at least for a set. But it seems like they're rotating pieces in and out, and I think part of that is starting to show up in their gameplay, Jack.
Yeah, we got Edison coming in, and we also have Hawk coming in as well for the Atlanta Reign. So a lot of substitutions in and out. But we are, to be fair, with Toronto, I do think we do always see this DPS subbed in and out, so it's not too much of a shock there. They've got a lot of DPS on their bench at this point. Zik going out and Logic's coming in, so him and Baby now get to face up against each other. And Rialto is going to be the map too. And with Sherfall and Logic's in, it signals to me, well, just double hit scam. We're going to run Ashe, we're going to run Tracer, or McCree, for example.
Tracer and Ashe, or when I play either of them, the combination is called Trash. But yeah, we've seen a lot of Tracer Ashe going through this, and it makes a lot of sense. Ashe is really good on Rialto. The Dynamite gets in there. Tracer, I think, is almost a must pick right now, especially if the other team's running a Tracer. You have to kind of keep an eye on that, and if you start losing those duels really early on, Tracer's just running loose in the back line. And again, for Tracer, it's not always about kills. It's just being that annoying little gnat around that your supports have to come play
like
back.
Striker was.
Yeah, exactly. And someone has to come back and peel. Like, I think of all the heroes, staying alive as Tracer seems to be the most valuable to me. And maybe this is my Tracer bias, but it's just that constant worry in the other team's head of like, I don't know where it is, and I could get one clipped at any second. I don't have Immortality Field now. Both the supports could be dying at any second to this Tracer. It is just kind of this mental game, and the best Tracers in the world are ones that don't die. They take it to the bleeding edge before recall. They always have abilities available, and the best compliment you can get as a Tracer is like, you're annoying. When I get that in a chat of like, dude, that Tracer's, you're an annoying Tracer. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's a bigger compliment than being told you're hacking. It's just like, yeah, I am. Thanks. It really warms your heart.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all it takes at the end of the day. Forcing cooldowns. I'm sure a lot of you in Q have had nightmares about Tracer 1%. Me, or one clipping your Ana or Baptiste, because they just come out of nowhere and it's fairly hard to react sometimes, especially if it kind of blinks into you from behind. You're having to like 180. It's a very, very hard fight to win some of the time, and having someone like Striker or for example Edison, etc. do that to your backline, it can be rather taxing on your supports, and those cooldowns can't be used for the tanks. They can't be used for your DPS on your team because you're having to save yourself.
Yeah, I would imagine that when we do get to the Assemble Heroes section of this map, that we're going to see pretty strictly a Ashe Tracer and then double shield on both ends. It does seem like they're probably going to end up running a mirror match. Of course, the Toronto Defiant is the team that we can call as they're coming out, as, you know, they can't go back to spawn. I suppose they could, but this is exactly what I was expecting to see on Rialto. It makes a world of sense. Double shield has always been good on Rialto. Doesn't matter what the shields are, but I think early on when we saw Sigma get introduced, Sigma Orisa on Rialto was like the jam. You know, past Goats when it was, you know, Goats was Goats. Let's just forget about it. Atlanta Reign, I think eventually we'll move on to this. I think Edison will go to Tracer. And yeah, mirror match here on Rialto.
For the Horde. Thank you, Mr. Logix. You're on the correct side. Right, Atlanta attack. Edison and Baby, like we kind of predicted there, they are on the Tracer Ashe. They're getting mirrored, however. In fact, complete mirror even. Dynamites are way more useful, going from high to low though. It does mean, although Edison did manage to like push everybody off. And I can just see Logix in the back there hiding around the Mega Health Pack. You can see Edison now kind of dueling out with him to make sure Edison can't get on one of these ridiculous flanks.
Yeah, just watching that flank.
Nah, he's good. Yep. He's good. He's good. He's out. But the rest of the team ain't good. Logix and Numlocks are going to go down. Beautiful headshot by Baby. It is a one-tap headshot for the Ashe. Well, Chevel's going to do the same thing, but, you know, Toronto's tanks, they are dead. So, with your tanks dead and only your supports and a couple of DPS alive, you're not going to be able to chew through those shields rather quickly. Atlanta might be able to cap this without Toronto even getting a recontest.
There is a Tracer up top. You may want to blink in because it is only 4 alive right now for Atlanta, and they're going to be slow to get back. So I think that you have to at least contest. They do just that at the last second.
Yeah, Baby, you can see he's trying to hunt the Tracer right now. Immortality Field out fairly early. Window as well to make sure the Toronto have to pay a little bit of respect to it. Not too much respect was given, though, as they had to contest. Cruz, Nevix, and Numlocked are going to go instantly down. There's the punch to finish off Logix, and the point has been capped. Not a bad time at all. Rialto first, normally kind of treacherous, can end the game there and then, or at least it did feel like that last year.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot as Toronto there because you really do want to contest again. Like I said, it was going to be 4 on the point, but you don't have everyone in the correct position to contest. However, to make that call to back up feels even worse. Like, this team needs a little bit of confidence together, and you have to make the call. You have to believe that you're going to win the fight. Even though not everyone's in the perfect position, you do have the numbers advantage. It doesn't end up working out for them, and now, because of that lost fight at the bridge, Atlanta's in a great position to take the stairs high ground. They just poke a little bit away. They're kind of just waiting. They don't want to eat a lot of spam here during it.
Masters just going to be escorting the payload. Ooh, nice little stick. Didn't get anything because Nevix already died. Well, that's just unfortunate. And now Hawk just ready and waiting with his Flux too. There's a nice little stick from Logix. Takes out Baby Bay. But with Cruz going down, they're going to have to rely on Kariv for the healing. That's definitely a lost fight if you're just relying on the Zen. Logix can potentially stall out for a little bit longer here, and they do have Bob available, Hex.
It's very much like what was the setup on the second point here. They are going to come back in. Supercharger down, though.
Yeah, it's going to get instantly taken out by Logix there. A little melee to finish it off. Transcendence on the point is going to be matched. Kariv and Dogman, no more ults available. Master and Sureforce Bob does end up going down, but now Baby has the Bob advantage, and with little cooldowns left available, that Bob was going to do damage, apart from if Logix had to say something about it. Nice little double kill in the back. That's the perfect time to use the Bob. I will say that one thing nearing the end of this fight here. Oh, he's going to fall the Hort. Yeah, there you go. Banner planted straight on Edison's head. Okay, Logix. We get it. It's okay.
I mean, maybe chill a little bit. You are still getting rocked in Rialto. You want a single fight, but you know, I always love to see it.
Confidence building, Hex.
You gotta have, exactly. I was actually just gonna say that you have to have the confidence to be like, well, I'm the better tracer in the server. You have to deep down know it in your core. Toronto now, not a whole lot left to use. A supercharger is going to be there, but they just need the plays out of Logix. This is very much like a Houston Outlaws kind of scenario. Can your tracer just carry you to victory?
Wait, I've seen this before. Nevix isn't going to go down. Well, there he is. Actually, I'll take it back. Dynamite and a lot of bullets in the back for Edison. There's a pulse bomb in the back, although it doesn't really find anything. I think the Mortality Field didn't end up saving that one. Hawk does end up falling as well. Payload's still on the move, mind you, as they are very scared of this window. The Supercharger does end up going down too. He can't quite hit Logix. He's got fancy feet. Bebe's still on the high ground. He's going to send himself high in the sky. Rather dangerous if against someone like Sureforce. Sureforce takes over the fight now. The window coming down for them as well. A recalled on the Tracer. Yeah, there's no way Edison survives this one. He's going to get taken down eventually. Nice little hold being set up here from Toronto Defiant.
That's exactly what happened with Baby Bay. Is he was able to hit a shot on Kariv, and he thought he could finish it, launch himself up in the air, but Kariv was standing right next to Sureforce, so it was just easy pickings there. It's a high risk, high reward to do grapple shots as a Widow because your trajectory is predictable, and the same thing applies to the Coach Gun.
Oh, no. Oh, no, he's good. Edison took a headshot there. Had to back off. Yeah, you can see they're trying to match 1v1. Dogman takes out Numlocked.
That's nice.
I'm assuming Numlocked was on the high. Oh, no, he's on the low ground. Potentially pulled off. Not entirely sure what happened there, but with that one down, it's only Nevix to kind of hold the fort here on the second point. He's going to be playing in the front line, trying to contest the payload, the Transcendence. Perfectly timed to try and keep him alive and make sure Numlocked can get back into the fray. Edison's on the back line with a pulse bomb. He spotted the Zen. He lands the stick. Oh, dear. That stick from Logix did take out two things, the Immortality Field and the Supercharger. But a perfectly timed Immortality Field from Toronto Defiant will keep them alive for the time being. But Hawk does manage to flux people off the payload, and it does get delivered. The Rain managed to finally find point number 2, but a valiant hold for the Defiant. A lot of time burnt away.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I mean, I think the Atlanta Rain did a really good job there. About 10 seconds before they captured that of Dogman being at about 89%, and they did a really good job of focusing Helios on him so that he could get his Transcendence up and stay alive during that fight because you need the Discords. Toronto Defiant are going to reach ultimate abilities very quickly now. Atlanta is still just going to take the free push here. A little over 2 minutes on the clock, though, so Atlanta has a good chance. But this also happened to Toronto Defiant on the second point, too. They were forced to take really far back defense, and so instead of getting 2 fights per point, they're only really getting 1.
What else they have at the disposal? That's a really early Immortality Field
Zoning
from Marsa. Zoning field, yeah. Well, something like that. There's the flux from Nevix. Numlocked, I believe, Gator, I believe, did go golden, so he wasn't able to get lifted up. Logic's now playing rather defensive Tracer, but somehow Edison kills Cruz in all of that. The chaos in the right-hand room. Supercharger went down for Numlocked as well, but it got easily taken care of. And a stick from Edison too. He's like a pest in the back line, Hex. The perfect play, it seems, from Edison right now, but Logix at least comes back with a pulse bomb of his own. The bomb also sent out. And the brink of losing that third point. Logix again! With a flag of the Horde planted in Baby Bay. Alright, I love to see it, I'm going to be honest. It's probably one of my favourite emotes in the game at this point. 1 minute does remain for the Reign now on the offense.
This one is pretty much just what you would expect between these two Tracer players. It is the battle of the logos right now. Edison able to sneak in there in the last second and take out Cruz early on, but Logic's playing bodyguard. It's a responsive sticky bomb there. Now Atlanta, though, is going to have the Bob advantage by far, so they can play with 6.5 men.
That is an easy window placement. Got to be careful, though. Yeah, you can see him kind of ducking back there to make sure he can keep track of Logix. Immortality Field has been used. This is a big opening for Logix now if he can get this pulse bomb online. Supercharge is going to help take care of Cruz, however, as well as that Bob coming out. Edison now sitting on the payload, ready and waiting for people to get lifted up into the air. The damage boosted Tracer is way too much for the Defiant to handle. Baby Bay clicks on a couple more people too, and that'll be the Reign, sinking the payload onto third. The respectable time bank for Rialto. A tough map to finish in 18 seconds. They can be proud of that.
As because any time bank on Rialto is a respectable time bank because it is a very difficult map to finish. The defender's advantage just stacks and stacks as the map goes through. A lot of people who are Overwatch League fans were asking, like, where's Erster? Where's Erster? I think his luck is like Edison is Edison. This was one of the highly touted people that, you know, you being amongst them, but a lot of other people who watch a ton of contenders were like, just this Edison guy. It's going to be such a great signing. Edison, Edison, Edison. He really showed up there as the Tracer big time, and that allowed Baby Bay to just have a ton of space. And Atlanta eventually just had the superior positioning there. You mentioned like the window positioning is perfect. They had the Bob advantage, which also holds down another angle. And you take that defender's advantage and you take away all the angles and you kind of just start boa constricting them, and they can only play in one spot, and then that spot is where you throw dynamites and you focus all the fires and you're volleying at orbs. Atlanta finally able to take it back. Toronto has to finish this map or they will go down 0-2 in the series.
Yeah, Edison, I just couldn't believe a team didn't kind of acquire him early. Like, we do see a lot of players, like Sparkle, for example. He turned 18 in November, and he didn't have too much success when he was playing in Korea on GC Busan Wave. He had nice high placings in Open Division and Trials, but when it actually got to Contenders itself, on GC Busan, he was always middle of the pack, but seeing him on a team like Atlanta really shows the power that he has and what he can bring to a team, especially on something like a Tracer, who is so frustrating, I can imagine, to deal with if you're cruising Kariv.
Well, Soldier 76 going to come out from Shore 4. I mean, Shore 4, I've always said, is one of the most versatile damage players in all of the Overwatch League. Probably one of the most consistent performers. You know exactly what you're going to get out of Shore 4. Is it a 100 rating? No, but he's a consistent 85 on about 8 different heroes.
Which is good, which is exceptional, which is about 200% if you're talking about ranked queue, that's for sure. Nice little hold there. Rockhawk couldn't quite get the rock off, but they're still managing to hold the corner. Immortality Field used by both teams, and Edison wins the 1v1 with Logic's on the sidelines.
Yeah, Toronto is going to have to make a choice if they want to continue to push this corner or not. They're getting bullied back, and at some point, the Atlanta Reign Tracer is going to get behind them.
You say that, Edison's still playing frontline.
Yeah.
He knows he's in post bomb, to be fair, if he just kind of peppers them in the head. Oh, what a perfect lineup from Sherfor. Just one click in Baby Bay. He was low enough for him to go down. Oh my god, I bet he wish he had a pulse on right there. Kariv ends up going down to the pulse. Logic saw people get grabbed together and he just couldn't do anything about it. And now Edison with the 1v3 in the back. Can he take out Logix as well? No, he cannot. Sherfor and Nevix are going to be there to make sure he pays his dues. And now 2 minutes and 30 seconds remains. They're on this corner. At least Logic's managed to pick up Dogman. They're slowly but surely whittling away their backline.
Well, they do have the spawn advantage, does Toronto. Logix has to get healing. Go! That hurts.
Oh, yeah, he paid his dues there as well. He's like, I'm going to get away to
But
Mega!
both Atlanta
and then
tanks are down now.
dynamite.
Both Atlanta tanks are out of the mix, and it's almost impossible to fight without your tanks. You need some sort of shield, especially a double shield meta. You can't put 4 guys without shields against a team with a couple of them. We'll see if Edison wants to get back here and try to stall out, buy some time. They've got the ability to do so. Bob gets thrown in early.
Yeah, he's still going to be able to contest. Regardless of Nevix using Assault or not, they're still going to be able to get back in. Oh, that's a big stick. Immortality Field is going to say that the healing is going to make sure they can push forwards. Although I say that, as Edison does end up falling, so now actually they can just sit on the payload and just whittle them away. Supercharger does go down. Atlanta Reign determined to win this fight. They aren't going anywhere just yet. It's a bit of spawn for them as well, mind you. Talk about playing frontline. I mean, you might as well have the Zen if you've got that many shields in front of your face. They're going to hold with a meter to spare as well. The Toronto Defiant struggling to get this one capped. They're going to have to go for a full reset.
That's tough now, because now you're about equidistance from your spawns as the defenders are going to come up right over the bridge, so even trades aren't going to be in favor of the Toronto Defiant right now. Cruz is going to have a window on the offense. That's the only tool they have to work with. Defensively, the same thing can be said as Amplification Matrix there. These fights are just scrappy all over the place, and that's kind of what happens when you have Tracers in the mix. It's which Tracer gets the back line. You saw a Tracer Pulse Bomb on another Tracer, which is a rare sighting. Mark it down in your calendar.
It happened, guys. We did it. We got a pulse bomb on a Tracer.
Well,
Nice little clip there.
You know you don't see that often because usually they have the abilities to recall and get out of it, and they're kind of just squirrely Tracer.
Yeah, the most BM one is where you recall, drop the pulse bomb from the recall, and then straight onto the other Tracer's head, and they end up dying. That's always the most BM way of killing another Tracer. 30 seconds remaining, Hex. They haven't really got much in their bank at all. Maybe the window does something for them, but Nevix is going to have to build up this flux rather fast.
I think you try to get window so that Shore4 can get his bob, and maybe Kareev hits a volley, and you can get there.
Window versus window. Oh, that damage is crazy, actually. And Edison managed to take out Shore4 too. He's hiding with the rest of his team now because he knows he can. Someone needs to actually touch payload here. 5 seconds remains. It's actually rotating back. This is, it's finally contested, but Edison is just turning your back line to mincemeat. There we go. Finally, Logic is finished off, and Atlanta Reign will hold the Toronto Defiant at first. 2-0 in the series. 1 map away, and they're going to clean sweep the Defiant.
Shore4 getting picked off early there really hurts because I think Toronto's best chance was to try to use ults to get other ults. And you start off with the Amplification Matrix. You hope that Kareev hits a Zen volley through it. You have Transcendence. You hope that Shore4 can hit a Dynamite in a couple shots and get your Bob in there because you need to start equalizing. But Atlanta had the exact same idea, and they were in a really nice position in small pack room to drop their own Amp Matrix. They get the shot in. They get the ultimates up, and they're just able to use the one ultimate to snowball, to domino into the other ultimates quicker. They made the decision faster than Toronto did, and that's one of the benefits on the defense. You just set up a spot, the other team has to come to you. Overwatch at its core is a game about we own this space, you want this space, come and get it. Atlanta used the defender's advantage that they had there very well to turn it into an economy lead and end up squashing that to go up 2-0.
Also, Edison was just out-tracering Logics there, right? I mean, he not only found that cool pulse bomb, but he also was able to not only take out Logics, but force him away, which is as good as just taking out the Tracer. If you force her away when she doesn't have recall, she can't really do much because she can't play as aggressive. And then Edison was just in the back line, just on top of Orisa, just shooting her in the head. Like, if a Tracer is getting away with that, something needs to change. I think maybe Logic's in that situation maybe needed to jump over to a Kree to try and stop this from happening and then play a little bit more defensively, a little bit more of a death ball complex.
Logic's had his moments, but you know, he is a player that I always consider hot and cold, and until he has consistent in-a-row performances, I will continue to say that. He had moments, but it wasn't the consistent Tracer player that we saw from Edison.
Well, we're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. We'll see if the Toronto Defiant can bounce back. We've got map number 3 up on the screen. See.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. We are back again for a little chat, talking about the match at hand. Atlanta Reign and the Toronto Defiant. Currently, Atlanta Reign are up 2-0, and as of right now, it just starts to look like it's going to be a quicker day. Let's put it that way. Let's talk about Atlanta first. Map 1, we finally saw Erster back in the mix, and that's something you've been requesting for a long time now, Costa.
Yeah, I've been yelling and screaming into the void that I want to see Erster played more, especially when the Atlanta's going through this slump. It was weird to not see so much Erster. We are starting to see, dabbles of him here and there. It seems like Atlanta wants to use him as the flex DPS position purely and only. So if they are going to play the Pharaoh or if they are going to play the Mei, they seem to put him in. But if they are going to be playing this double hit scan, which has been so prominent as of late, they are tending towards Baby Bay and Edison, because I would say Baby Bay's the hit scan specialist in terms of the Widow, the McCree, and the Ashe, and Edison's the Tracer Sombra player. So that's probably why we don't get as many Erster looks as many of us would like.
Yeah, I think that's the crucial detail that some people might be missing, that yes, we saw Erster back in the lineup, but quite honestly, he's still just playing the heroes he did play. So we're seeing him back on Mei, and then we saw him on Pharah like we expected him to. So until we actually start seeing Erster in like double hit scan lineups, I don't think much has changed with the Atlanta Reign, and it seems like they still stick with Baby Bay and Edison for the majority of their maps.
Well, so what was your thought on Toronto Defiant's performance then, Reinforce?
A bit disappointing. I mean, I don't want to say that I expected too much from the Toronto Defiant going into this match, but it certainly felt like Toronto Defiant were on the rise as of recent with the addition of Numlocked and Cruz to this roster. So this is really the match that they had to prove themselves, and maybe this was the Atlanta Reign acted as the gatekeeper to like the mid-table teams within the league. But so far, I think it's quite obvious that Toronto Defiant, they just don't have the team coordination or the firepower required to mess with some of these mid-table teams. I mean, you're going up against Baby Bay and Edison and a solid tank duo. So like, there's a lot of good individual skill on the Atlanta Reign, and we've criticized them in the past, but it still holds up when you go up against a team like the Toronto Defiant.
Yeah, it's good to see the decisiveness of the way the Atlanta Reign is playing this match, though. They are dominant right now. They are playing their own style, and they're just overwhelming the Toronto Defiant, which is what we've wanted to see from them, because thus far we haven't really seen it so far.
I mean, to be fair, there were a very few moments on Toronto Defiant side where we at least felt like they have the right idea. It was just, lack of coordination and execution there. One of those moments where they literally went toe-to-toe with the Atlanta Reign happened on that map number 1, and that one actually made it into Crunch Time presented by Cheesy Grooves. It's one of those moments when you and your best mate walking into a club and you're both wearing the same thing, and it's just a bit awkward. I don't know.
Wow, so perfect.
It's funny because I watched this live and it's just funny. We always see this sim teleporter, but it very rarely is the two teams doing it at the exact same time. I don't know about you guys if you've ever played Tiny Overwatch, but this is what it feels like. It's just everyone just spawns into this small box square and just runs at each other. You see, everything is thrown almost instantly. I think there's 12 abilities used at one moment. We got lamps, we got fire strikes, we got punches. Everything is just going left and right. This is a crazy first fight.
My favorite part, I think, is when they just come out and the Reinhardts just look each other in the eyes and are like, "You're going down," and they just like have their own duel by the side. You know, the supports do the support thing, the damage dealer do the damage dealer thing, but the Reinhardts just duel each other on the point. Fun to watch for sure. I mean, it gets a bit brawly at some points, but it's fun to see.
Yeah, but we definitely do enjoy a good brawl every once in a while. Now, Hollywood is coming up next. What do you want to see from each of those teams coming into that third map?
Oh boy.
I'd almost want to see something different from the Toronto Defiant. It feels like on the pure Ashe Tracer with the double shield tanks, they're just not getting the better end of the stick. It doesn't need to be a massive overhaul, but maybe some minor adjustments that are going to swing things in their favor. Maybe just sort of catch them off guard a little bit, something, because I don't see them, taking a map with the Atlanta Reign, because this is their bread and butter.
Yeah, so I actually can confirm that Sick is back in the lineup instead of Logix, which tells us a bit that they are going to flex around perhaps between different heroes, and we've seen Sick play some Mei as of recent, so Toronto can go in many different directions with this, but I do expect Atlanta Reign to still play the same compositions. On point B, we might see the teams change away from double shield because there is some high ground available, but for the most part, I think we'll see pretty basic default compositions from both teams.
Right on. Well, let's see if we continue our stroll through Sweep City or if the Toronto Defiant can start their comeback right now here on map number 3. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Oh my god.
Crazy guy. Very crazy guy. What do you say?
Cruise is a feeder.
뭐래?
Yoiks. Yoiks.
모르겠어.
Oh my god.
Toxic.
Toxic. Toxic. Very toxic.
Well, that was a little bit of a blast from the past, Hex. Dogman calling a cruise a feeder. It's definitely cemented itself as one of the funniest clips of all time, to be honest. Of course, friendly rivalry between him and Cruz. It's nice to see them play against each other yet again.
Yeah, a different team here for Cruz, but, you know, maybe Dogman has a little bit of a point. I won't put this on Cruz, though, too, because Edison was just getting the backline, but I believe deaths right now so far in the series are Cruz at 13, Dogman at 8. Valid point, but, you know, I like the friendly rivalries that we have, the few that we have in the Overwatch League. These guys don't dislike each other, and that's why you see, you know, the squats, the leg days going on over people and things like that, but that's what competition's all about. So before you get up in arms, I'm sure these guys have mutual respect for each other. But right now, Dogman's right. Cruz is feeding. I think it's more Edison taking Cruz out of the matches, getting into the back line and forcing immortality fields, then coming back in because no one's checking them. And Dogman doesn't have that same problem right now. So I don't really blame supports ever because I want people to continue playing supports.
Well, I think we should check in with Dogman and what his latest thoughts on Cruz are. Let's have a look what he had to say.
Be a good game. I think that a lot of their players have a lot to prove overall, and I think we have a lot to prove, so I think it should be a good game overall. Do I think Cruz is still a feeder? I don't know. I think everybody's a feeder, man. Even me. Everybody's a feeder. Dogman's a feeder. Doesn't matter. Everybody, you can use it loosely. Not a very aggressive term these days.
Well, there you go. Like you said before, friendly rivalry between the two. They don't dislike each other at all. Do not worry. It's always good to see a lot of banter. I grew up with it being in the Halo days and watching very, very old Halo and like old COD, and that got pretty heated between the two teams, and it was always fun to see people kind of stand up across the LAN hole, you know, and just kind of shout at each other that they're bad. And that's one of the things I do actually miss about homestands, just a little bit of the players being so kind of close to each other and able to do those sorts of things. So yeah, it's kind of nice to kind of reminisce about those things. So hopefully at one point in the future we can kind of get back to that. But Hex, let's get to the game at hand. Atlanta Reign are 2-0 up in the scoreline right now. Toronto Defiant need something to come back into this one. We do have Hollywood as our map up next.
Yeah, I think they just need to find some sort of consistency. But for the Reign, I mean, this is a team that we had high expectations for at the beginning of the year because of what a great inaugural season they had in Season 2. I think if you asked most people across the board, you'd say that the Atlanta Reign had the best inaugural season out of any of them, and that says a lot because there's a lot of really good teams. But Atlanta beat Shock in the playoffs before knocking Shock to the lower bracket, so there were a lot of high expectations for this Atlanta Reign squad, and they're sitting below 500 right now. They're 5-6. This match would bring them up even at 6-6, but I think this kind of format in our Summer Showdown now, Atlanta needs to make a run. They need bonus wins. They need to start climbing up and reaching the expectations that people have set for them, and to do that, you got to be able to dispatch teams that you should be beating, and that would, unfortunately, if you're a Canadian, that would unfortunately be the Toronto Defiant.
Well, they are starting out on defense. See if they can grab a quick full hold. Of course, that is rather tough on Hollywood. It definitely feels like it. The spawn walk isn't that bad. It's just you can come in at a bit of an odd angle, and there's a lot of things to kind of LOS you, which can be quite frustrating. Does mean the Reign are going to set the pace card.
It's going to be interesting to see what the defense comes out in, because you can still run Ashe on this, but it's a very difficult first point to run an effective Tracer on. I think Tracer on defense is difficult. I think you can run it on offense and maybe double blink in and go take pack control, go around back, and then start harassing people on the stairs is one strategy you can run on the Tracer on offense. But defensively on Hollywood, I think it's almost one of the worst points to run a defensive Tracer on, unless you're just waiting to give them a ton of space to come in, because there's not a great bunch of areas you can go harass the backline in on a defensive Tracer. So yeah, offensive Tracer makes sense. Toronto is going to run a May McCree composition with double shields and similar support lineups for both teams.
See, that's what we talked about before we jumped to the break, right? Where they have a McCree to kind of deal with the threat of Edison. Oh, my God, that was quick. Discord Orb does do a fair bit of damage. 30% additional damage received. But Edison is going to be able to control at least a little bit of the point here. Waiting people to drop down, but it's actually getting them to drop is going to be the hard part.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that you run maybe a McCree here too, is so that the other team can't just immediately switch into a Pharah.
Oh my God, that was a lot of damage. I love Zen right clicks, man. Music to my ears. There's Dynamite straight over the top. A couple of people are burning, but not too much. Halt in. That wall! A bit too early, I gotta say. It's a little bit too far forward as well. Rain was just about to walk around that one. Winner comes through for the Defiance, for the defense, but doesn't matter. Rain is just kind of taking this one. I say that Gator takes a little bit too much damage, as they do manage to secure at least one tick here. They were
close to 2.
0.1% even from getting the second tick, but now Baby Bay is up in the cafe, and look how far back Toronto are having to play.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how Baby Bay was able to get there.
Fighting this?
It shouldn't be. I mean, maybe you're pushing just to try to get this last 0.6% to knock you up to another ticket. They do just that. Worth. Totally worth. And now they've got position again.
Okay, well, they're back. Yeah, okay, I take it back. It was the best play in the history of plays. There's the hold. Didn't do much.
Transcendence
Flux isn't going to do much either. as the Transcendence was there to heal them all up as they do crash down to earth. 2 ticks and a bit for the Rain. Oh, no. The Blizzard round the corner, straight into the wall. That's what you were waiting for. Okay, now they can reset. That was a 2 minutes long fight.
Gave up a lot of positioning there, a lot of time already wasted off the clock, but not necessarily wasted. They were able to get 2 ticks, actually all the way up to 89%. So Toronto was... It's kind of this exchange, right, where you're giving up time so that you can get a better fight. You're giving up progress to get a better fight.
So Dynamite can be quite hard to actually... Oh, not nice at all. In fact, it didn't get anybody. It just exploded on the shield. It's very hard to get Dynamites, to be fair. At that angle. They have Gators ult here available. Edison takes out Karim. How did that happen? Oh, he spots him. No flashbang, though. Does manage to get all of nothing, but does manage to make sure that Sherfor is playing scared. Supercharge around the corner. Sherfor takes out Masa. Edison still in the back line. Managed to pay a visit to Cruz. He managed to at least get him out of the fight. And a pulse bomb on the floor as well. Takes out Zik. Like, what is this? That seemed very winnable for Toronto there, as they do manage to take out the main support fairly early on, but nothing really came of it. There was Edison once again playing a Tracer straight up in the face of not only Zik, but Sherfor as well.
I mean, getting Kariv was actually a huge kill early on there, because it makes sure that Short4 has to use the flashbang. He's just a second late, day late, and a dollar short. But then you don't have the utility of the Discord, which means eventually your tanks should win out, because the other tanks are going to be discorded. The Supercharger in superior position right around the corner as well. And so Atlanta, just with a greater damage output, able to crack shields, and there had an eventuality to that fight once Kariv went down early.
Now they're on the set phase. They're playing so far back, didn't even want to try and hold the doors, although because they got team wiped, it was a little bit harder to do so. Bebe looking for a backline Bob. Window on the cart as well. Zik ends up going down, and the Bob does come out, and there you go. It's in the back line, causing mayhem. There's nothing really you can do against that. You've got to look 3 different ways at once, and unfortunately, most people have 2 eyes. Numbox is going to get pushed all the way back. 2 minutes on the clock as well. This is a steamroll of second. They had to look at Bob, they had to look at Edison, then they also had to look at the front line. Some of the best things that a Tracer can do is just being annoying, like you were talking about before, and like we saw from Striker earlier on. 3 minutes and 38 for this 3rd point phase. Oh no, 1v1, maybe? No. Make it a 1v1 at least. Yeah, that's interference. Nope.
You know, you don't have to take those 1v1s. Of course, there's pride in line, but Edison just wants to win that there. He's just able to fall back behind the shields. Takes a second to look into the eyes of his would-be victim. Takes him down. I mean, once Atlanta gets rolling, this is kind of how this team plays. Once they get rolling, they're really hard to stop. And conversely, Toronto has a really difficult time of putting a tourniquet on this bleeding. Edison's in the back line. He's got Pulse Bomb.
I've just been thinking about who has the most eyes in Overwatch. I think it's Zen. Oh, are they eyes? Or is that like a mask?
You play like constant Zen. You should know this.
Yeah, but I don't see Zen because I am Zen. You see? I don't see it. Pulse Bomb in the back for Edison, maybe? No, wants to dodge out and wait for that Dynamite to go off first. The window's going to come out, and that early Immortality field could be a death sentence for the Toronto Defiants. Luckily, Cruz escapes with his life up into the high ground. Sherfor wasn't quite so lucky. Pulse Bomb in the front line goes golden, but Numlock still taking a whole bunch of damage. Even the Transcendence being committed here for the Rain to make sure they can survive the oncoming assaults from all the damage. And Bebe up on the high ground. They may have struggled on first point. Second and third, took it like a breeze. 2 minutes and 21 seconds for the Rain. The Defiant weren't able to really scramble together and felt like get a 6-on-6. It was always Edison or someone, Baby Bay, picking off someone from the sidelines, turning the fights in their favor, making it a 5v6, a 4v6, and the Atlanta Rain tanks were able to do what they pleased.
It's really interesting, too, because as a Tracer, you don't always want to go for the Orisa there, but towards the end, you saw him just pumping clip after clip into the notably large head hitbox of the Orisa. And she wasn't getting any lower and wasn't really dying. And that's because all of the resources went into that Orisa on the front lines. And then you saw Edison switch off and let other people take down the Orisa. And he knew that because all of the healing was going into Orisa, everybody else was going to be low. And Tracer loves low HP targets. Half a clip here, reload, half a clip there. He's able to take down Short 4. Then they finally clean up. And at the end of it, it's just a Sigma with a sliver of health and a shield, and that's it. So, yes, it doesn't look like it's the right choice when you're just pumping clip after clip into Numlocked. But that means all of the healing from Cruz is going right there, and everyone else is being neglected. Tracer picks up on it, and that's just an easy cleanup. Baby Bay also has done really interesting things with positioning. You don't often see Ash in the spots that he is, able to clean up towards the end. Atlanta Reign will finish out Hollywood with 2:20 left on the clock as they transition to defense. And Atlanta Reign, kind of trying to prove me wrong here. Edison on the defensive Tracer. All right, I'm going to take notes.
Well, we spoke about that exact thing a couple of weeks ago, Hex, with the Ash and the Dynamite, and they get him to half HP, and like you just said, Edison then just finishes him off. It's such a good chunking tool. Well, they got Torb. Torb can't easily be killed by a flank, and neither can Sherfall with a flashbang. So, offensive Torb, you love to see it.
Offensive Torb, defensive Tracer, you know, why not?
It just be like that sometimes. Yeah, to be fair, if you if you covered up whose side is on what, like, you'd be like, well, their Torb's on defense, of course. Right, Edison's still on the high ground, wants to try and find the entrance into the back. His target is going to be Kariv. So the target he's found, but Bebe in the front line's already taken out Nevix. He even plays aggressively with a recall. You see, he recalled and he didn't back off almost instantly. I'd love to see it. Edison does eventually end up going down, though. A flashbang and a headshot finish him off, but the rest of Toronto Defiant are going to send all the way back to spawn.
Yeah, pretty easy pickings there. They're all looking at Edison, and yeah, he's gutsy with his recalls, but he hasn't been punished really at all. Seems to have the timing for it, and now gonna throw a curveball their way as he's in the respawn. He's gonna come back as the May, and this is really nice in case Toronto gets in a really nice position with the Torb turret, and you don't really have the spam or anyone to knock it down. You just put a wall up. Also, look at this archway. It's about the perfect size of the May wall. I don't think these things are coincidental, that the archways and the May walls are almost exactly the same size.
Oh, that I didn't know Dynamite could get up there, but apparently it can. There's the window, however, they're going to get lifted above it. Numlocked is still making good use of it, though. Same with Kariv. He's able to fire through, hit Baby once in the noggin, and take him out. Should be Toronto now taking the first point. Will I say that? Oh, no, Dogman fell off. Yeah, it's definitely over at this point. Maybe if he stood on the high ground for long enough, they could kind of attack in a pincer formation, but it was not to be. The Defiant will take first and add a few more minutes to their time bank.
Now, that was an inevitability, and I actually really like them jumping down early rather than late, not letting themselves get staggered, because now they should be in position to maybe fight halfway through rather than having to fight all the way back. I mean, losing fights is never great, but it's about how do you mitigate that damage, and how do you make sure that your next fight isn't lost because of it.
What was that? Baby playing up most. Oh my goodness. Finish more people off, Baby Bay. Keep the clip running. Oh, he missed the Dynamite, and now he dies. Well, unlucky, but he still managed to find 3 kills. Toronto Defiant were like, wait, it's free real estate up on this high ground. Not today, unfortunately, as Baby Bay cleaned up 3, and now it's only Sherfor and the May up on the high ground. Not a good place to be whatsoever, especially when you're against Gator with the Holtz.
No one's ever doubted Baby Bay's mechanical ability. Shows you flashes of it, and then he misses the Dynamite, which is just how it goes sometimes. Kariv.
Deary me. Yeah, the Immortality Field goes down, and he finishes it off as well. That's a lot of HP chunked. Oh, the G-Maul spec straight to his face. That will be the, at least Sherfall cleaning it up, but he hasn't got his team really left with him, unfortunately. Toronto Defiant again, whacked up into a corner. They got old Saber, though, Hex. I will say that. They're able to hold fairly aggressively, as Zik has got that Blizzard online rather soon.
Well, I mean, Edison takes down both supports there. Gets Kariv early, gets Cruz there. I sleep well, time traveling Brit, because that's exactly the trade you want to make. If you could, like, a top 10 survey, what's your job as Tracer? Killing supports? Yeah, that should be number 1, 2, and 3.
That's a lot of damage. I didn't know if that was supposed to go there, but it's still not too bad. Bob's got a lot of cover in this situation. Not quite making use of the wall, but Babyface certainly is. Oh, Numlock didn't really know what hit him. Sherfall's going to go down as well. Edison says, well, hello and goodbye. Once again, Toronto Defiant forced to reset, but they didn't really use that much in that fight. Sherfall used the High Noon. He's going to switch over. Kariv did end up using the Transcendence, but the main ultimate on the board is still going to be that Blizzard.
Yeah, and it's the main ultimate on the board now because they forced out the Transcendence with the Flux, and you need the Transcendence to keep people alive during a Blizzard. But maybe we'll see a God play from Hawk, and he's able to eat up the Blizzard. Of course, not as easy on the Sigma as it is on the Diva. Everyone's just burning.
Damage. Yeah. Look at Babyface ult charge already. He used a Bob at the start of that fight, and hey, look at that. He's got another one already. Retreat from the rain. Ooh, dearie me. That was a damage boosted 2-tap there from Kariv. Although Flux is going to bring everybody up in the sky, Kariv doesn't have his ult as he used it last fight. And Baby once again sending out the Bob. 1v1 on the high ground. Gets the better of Sherfall this time around. Again, Zik not managing to set up with the Blizzard.
Yeah,
and Terrainer knowing how to play around this Hex. I mean, they back off when the Supercharger goes down, and then Toronto Defiant are in a situation where they can't really lob the Blizzard in because Hawk's going to be able to telegraph that and just eat it up.
It's the best teams in the league play offense on defense when the time suits them. They backed out and make sure that your stationary ultimates as far as Supercharger go and Amplification Matrix, they back out of that. Find a different angle, but then they'll re-engage before you get to have the second volley, the second salvo of here comes the Blizzard now that you're all in the position we want. And Atlanta flips that switch, and Baby Bay is just in every sort of angle, and Toronto just looks uncomfortable trying to set up.
Uncomfortable is a very good way of putting that for sure. And even Dogman there with the damage boost is going to take out Sherfall. Another reset. Toronto Defiant have to go for one final push. It feels. Guess who's in the back line? It's Edison. Gets taken out by Kariv though. Good start. Another kill onto Baby Bay. 2 DPS now dead for the rain. However, there's still a lot of ground to cover, as they haven't really moved that payload a whole bunch. You see Gator kind of feeding himself onto the payload. Ooh, the Transcendence. I don't know about that one at all. I mean, it seemed like they were just trying to feed themselves onto the payload there, Hex, to make sure they could buy as much time as possible. As now only 24 seconds does remain. Nevix has the Flux. No defensive ultimate available for Atlanta. However, they have got the Immortality Field available.
And they do buy some time, and now there should be a full 6 out here to fight for the Atlanta Reign, and very much like Rialto, they're going to have to try to chain Amplification Matrix into other ultimates. Ooh, but you can't Matrix through the wall.
That is a sick wall. They do manage to get through just in time, though. Flux available for Nevix. He's in the corner. The Bob's in there as well. Oh my god, Bob's doing so much. What? Bob got 3 kills with the help of Nevix lifting everybody up. Bob did most of that work. Sherfall, get off my screen. I just want to see Bob. That is a combo that I never thought I'd see. I mean, we have seen it a few times before, but in that small corridor, I thought Bob would get instantly chunked out, but MVP Bob looking on your screens, and hey, the Defiant managed to cap second point with that as well, as Rain had to defend for a minute.
It's a big old Bob right there.
I want to see that from the inside.
Toronto only has a couple of fights left in them, though, because there's just going to be 50 seconds left. Atlanta kind of only has to win one fight. They can lose these next couple if they kind of stall it out and then just wait till about 20 seconds left and win that fight. Also, if Atlanta can force overtime, they're in a great spot too.
Oh, Sherfall really wants this kill. Edison has okay, he's got Orb now, but Sherfall's still chasing. No, he's
Baby Bay's in these
I can't
crazy
see him. Baby
angles.
does manage to kill out Kariv though. He doesn't get punished for it.
Well, Kriv is the only one with ult, though.
Supercharger out. You got to be careful. That's a one-shot body shot. It's Pulse Bomb. Bobbed a little bit wide. Supercharger does end up going down as Nevix also falls. 13 seconds now remain. Toronto Defiant still need to be able to touch this payload. They're still trying to deal with Edison. Someone take him out, please. Sherfall ends up falling. Discord orbs. And one clip. There's another kill for the Edison. And this is it. Toronto Defiant forced off the payload. OT wasn't even needed. And Atlanta Reign clean sweep the series 3-0.
I mentioned it before on the first couple of maps that Baby Bay is taking the weirdest, dumbest angles as Ashe, but he's got the confidence that he's going to hit that shot. He takes out Kariv early in that fight, and that is an ultimate that they needed. Once Kariv is out of it with Transcendence, they can't push forward with confidence. Atlanta goes and picks them apart, so Baby Bay takes that weird back angle. He's behind the rest of the Toronto Defiant. He's got one chance to hit Kariv. He does, takes him out of the fight. You saw towards the end of that, Kariv comes back with the Zoom Yada, but there's only 2 people alive. Atlanta's able to clean it up, and Babybay's playing with a lot of confidence to take weird off angles that you don't expect the Ashe, and he's hitting the 1 or 2 shots that you get before you're discovered and destroyed, and then you just got to give it up to Edison. Some of the cleanest tracer bleeding edge play that he's pulling off, and that allows Babybay the space because everyone's looking at Edison, and then Babybay is just behind you, and you're like, did he spawn back there? How the hell is Andre back there? Like, it's just crazy how they pulled it off. And then, yeah, I always give a lot of credit to the DPS because, that's just how it is. And the rest of Atlanta played rock solid. They played that map really interesting, and we talk about the Transcendence on second, and it was just stall tactics. They're playing against the clock, because even if Toronto finishes that in overtime, then Atlanta can't lose the map. The worst is a draw.
Edison, funnily enough, will be your Xfinity player of the match. Surprise, surprise. I mean, his tracer play today has just been stellar. I think this is some of the best tracer play we've seen from Edison. I think this is definitely going to be his best game to look back on if you really want to let Lugo boost, that is for sure. Edison and Babybay, like you said, were playing with utmost confidence, and that's something we talked about at the start of the series was, can Babybay find this confidence again? It did feel like he was a little bit wounded from Birdring in the Carpe duel. It hasn't looked so hot over the last couple of weeks, but proving it today that confidence is back in spades and helping Edison secure these kills in the backline as well with the Dynamite. It's looking good for Atlanta going into the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, I mean, Edison, I believe, answered the question of where's Erster. He's on the bench because Edison can play that tracer right there. Like, Erster's a really, really good player, but I can get it right there. And I think it was actually interesting we talk a little bit about Babybay. I think he adjusted because he wasn't really taking straight-up fights with Shortfort because his straight-up fights with Birdring, he got bodied on. So he's like, okay, let me play Ashe a different way. Let me get the utility to get all this burn in. I'll have Bob more often, and I'm just going to come behind him, and they won't expect me here, and I can hit this shot. He wasn't trying to take duels. He was doing enough with it for his team on off angles. But yeah, all props to Edison, and he played a really nice tracer. In a season, in a week of great tracer play, Edison still stood out. So well played by him. And Atlanta Reign will finally pull even, clawing up. I think they need a good result in this tournament to start really climbing up the ranks to be the Atlanta team that everyone expected them to be. But they now sit at 6-6 for the year.
Yeah, this is why, and one of the reasons why I was excited to see Edison come into the league, and I'm sure he's got a lot of new fans after today. And Atlanta Reign and Shock today, both scoring 3-0s. That's a few extra seeding places in the Summer Showdown. It's looking rather deadly, to be honest. I think Philadelphia are going to have a hard-fought fight in the Summer Showdown. They want revenge. They want to be able to clutch the title out. But Shock look unstoppable, and so does the Reign currently. It's up against the upper echelon of teams that I really question how Reign are actually going to play. And I think if Edison plays the way he did and plays in sync with Babybay again, they can take very close games, I think, against people like the Shock.
Yeah, I believe so too. I don't think they're really nearing the level of even Philadelphia. I think Atlanta maybe, as I do live power rankings, which I hate power rankings, Atlanta just a little bit below Paris, but it's hard to say because Paris has looked so bad today. And then you got like Philadelphia and San Francisco, and like that's a matchup we need to see. Everybody else kind of fighting for scraps. Our next match is going to be super interesting too, because I think the Gladiators have turned it on a little bit. They have a consistent support line. They've got everything, and they're going against Houston. You would expect, unfortunately for our viewers, for 3 Overwatch to continue, because the Gladiators are 5-5. The Outlaws are 5-10. I mean, same amount of wins, double the losses, but it looks like one of those matchups that you expect the Gladiators to win. But Houston always has the Dante factor. I mean, you could always just have Dante carry it. We've seen a whole lot of tracer carries here, Jack.
Yeah, I want to hear from the man himself, though. Dog Man, the trash talker legend. Let's jump over to a quick interview with Zoe, and we'll see you later.
Wow, Joss already setting him up for it. Yes, indeed, I do have Dogman joining me. Congrats on a victory.
Howdy, thank you, so I appreciate it.
I do wonder, last week the struggle was real. It was a tough loss against the Gladiators. And now that we have the meta staying, or rather the hero pool staying for an additional week, what kind of takeaways were you able to have from that match against the Gladiators? What adjustments needed to be made?
I think we learned a lot about compositions and more or less how to like execute different things within the week, and within the time constraints of playing a week, because we do have more weeks to prepare for a meta. So I am liking that we have more time to continually improve and get better. The Gladiators loss was rough, but they played really good. And I think we're probably a top team of that week for sure. So I think they're a good team, and I think we're a good team. We just don't have the record to really prove it yet. So maybe within the couple of months coming up, we can prove it.
Right on. Well, I certainly hope so, as a very open Atlanta fan myself. Of course, no bias.
Yeah, no bias.
Ever. No bias.
Haven't paid you off or anything.
I do wonder, though, do you feel like Atlanta Reign will be one of the teams which will heavily benefit from having a meta carrying over into the second week?
I think yes, but I also think at the same time, most teams will benefit, if not all of them, from preparing week by week. I think they'll notice they'll get better and improvements without hero pools and stuff like that, and the more time to prepare, I think will just make the competitive integrity a lot better than just a week to prepare each week. So I think every team should get better, not just the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, I certainly hope that this will kind of elevate the level of play we are going to see. Or rather before we now extended the meta to 2 weeks, I feel like every time I talk to one of you guys, it was just no, we're just focusing and preparing our own game. We're not really taking into account what the enemies are doing. You think this is going to change now? Is it going to be more catered strats to the opponents?
Yeah, I think already, I mean, people say that, but for the most part, you try to prepare as much as you can for what the enemy team likes to run. I think more and more teams are showing their cards of what they like to do. So it's just kind of preparing for the teams that you're going to play against. And obviously, you can't just pull a Bill Belichick and have a camera at the Jets stadium just watching over their scrims. We can't do that. That's against the rules. So we just kind of have to prepare as best as possible and expect what teams do.
Right. Now, Summer Showdown is coming up, and you guys are on an upward trajectory. Where do you see yourself in this very tournament?
I think I see us as a top team, but, every team's going to say that. So...
Well, I certainly hope so. Imagine they're coming into the tournament
yeah,
being
they're
going to fail.
Lost. I mean, there's a couple teams that probably do that right now.
Maybe. But then, if you're coming into a tournament and then you're doing good, then I guess you exceeded all expectations, and that's going to feel great?
That's like what the Atlanta Reign has always done. When people count us out, when people think that we're bad, we always come back. So I think this week, this tournament, it will be a pretty big showing for us. Because, I mean, this match and then hopefully we beat Vancouver, which is our next game next week. But I think overall, if we could beat a top team and a few top teams and even place well in the tournament, I think that'll be a good sign for us.
Definitely can't wait to see more from you and the team. Also, next time I'm having you as an interview guest, I expect your background to be plastered with Baby Bay pictures.
Yes, I love that man.
Yeah, good. Don't we all, including himself?
Exactly. Yeah, you can't not love him.
Exactly. I agree. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Zoe. Appreciate it.
We're now heading into a very quick break, and afterwards we are back with the Gladiators facing off against the Houston Outlaws. Don't go anywhere.